Please like, subscribe and share for more videos. One cold day in winter, a small girl and her dad came to London. Sarah Crewe was 7 years old with long black hair and green eyes. She sat beside her dad in a cab and looked at the tall buildings and dark sky outside. Her dad noticed her quietness and asked what she was thinking about. Sarah spoke about missing their home in India and feeling unsure about England. Even though she wished her dad could stay, she knew he had to go back to work. At Miss Minchin's school for girls, they were welcomed by the headmistress, Miss Minchin, who admired Sarah's looks and welcomed them warmly. Sarah's dad wanted her to make friends, so he told Miss Minchin about Sarah's good qualities. Despite feeling sad when her dad left, Sarah resolved to be happy for him. She soon made friends at the school, especially with a girl named Ermengarde, whom she helped with her lessons by telling stories. However, not everyone liked Sarah, especially an older girl named Lavinia, who was jealous of her. Despite this, Sarah stayed kind-hearted and tried to make the best of things. So, for 3 years, Sarah's dad wrote letters to her, and she wrote back with love. One day, a very exciting letter came. Everyone in the school talked about it. Sarah's dad wrote, "My friend has some mines in northern India. His workers found diamonds there a month ago. There are thousands of diamonds in these mines." Sarah wasn't interested in money, but she found the story about diamond mines exciting. Most people were happy for Sarah, but not Lavinia, of course. She said, "My mother has a diamond. Lots of people have diamonds." Ermengarde said, "But there are thousands of diamonds in these mines. Maybe millions." Sarah's face turned red when Lavinia teased her. She didn't say anything back to Lavinia. Later, Ermengarde called Sarah a princess and said she always looked like one. Another girl, Becky, who worked as a servant, also thought of Sarah as a princess. Sarah and Becky became friends, even though it was unusual for a rich girl like Sarah to be friends with a servant. Sarah was kind to Becky, who often felt tired and hungry from her hard work. Sarah's birthday came, and there was a big party at the school. But then, Miss Minchin's lawyer came and said Sarah's dad didn't have any money. There were no diamond mines, and Sarah's dad's friend took all his money. Miss Minchin was angry but realized she couldn't just put Sarah out on the streets. Instead, she told Sarah that she had to work as a servant in the school and live in a small room next to Becky's. That evening, Sarah sat on her bed in her old black dress. She didn't cry, but she looked very sad and didn't move or talk for a long time. Late at night, Becky quietly opened the door and came in. Her eyes were red from crying. "I'm so sorry, miss," she said, holding Sarah's hand. Sarah finally looked at Becky and said, "Oh, Becky." The next morning, Sarah started her new life. She learned to clean floors and make fires. The cook, a big angry woman, told her to go buy apples for pies. Sarah worked hard all day, from morning to night, and helped in the school too. She spoke French well, but Miss Minchin reminded her that she was just a servant. Sarah missed her dad terribly but remembered to be brave, just like he wanted. Becky was Sarah's only friend at first. They didn't talk much, but seeing Becky's friendly face helped Sarah feel better. The other girls in the school felt sorry for Sarah, but they couldn't be friends with her anymore because she was a servant. Lavinia was happy about Sarah's misfortune. Ermengarde, though, didn't understand why Sarah didn't talk to her anymore. One day, she visited Sarah in her attic room and promised to always be her friend. Sarah was relieved and happy. She showed Ermengarde the birds that visited her window and talked about her new friend, Becky. Later, Becky came in excitedly and told Sarah about a rich Indian man moving into the house next door. Every morning, Sarah fed the birds outside her window and looked at the attic window next door. But nobody ever opened it or said hello. Maybe the Indian gentleman's servants sleep downstairs, she thought sadly. Sarah was very lonely now. She saw Becky every day, but they didn't have much time to talk. The other servants weren't friendly, and Sarah missed having friends. One evening, Sarah heard a noise on the roof and saw a small monkey at the open window. "Oh, you cute thing!" she exclaimed. The monkey ran into her room, and Sarah saw a smiling face at the next window. It was Ram Das, the Indian Lascar. He came to get the monkey and thanked Sarah. Ram Das explained that he lived next door and had a monkey as a pet. Sarah went to the shops several times a day, and each time she passed the house next door, she thought about the Indian gentleman. She felt sorry for him because he was ill and had no family. Sarah knew how nice it was to have visitors when you're not feeling well. The Indian gentleman, Mr. Carrisford, was sad and talked to his friend, Mr. Carmichael, about finding a child he cared for deeply. He had a lot of money from diamond mines but didn't know what happened to his friend's daughter. Mr. Carmichael suggested going to Moscow to look for her. Meanwhile, winter came, and the attic rooms got very cold. Sarah and Becky struggled to sleep because there were no fires. Sarah's clothes were old and thin, and she often went hungry. One day, she found some money and bought bread, but then she saw a child even poorer than her and gave the bread away. When Sarah returned late, Miss Minchin scolded her, but Sarah bravely stood up to her. Lavinia made fun of Sarah, calling her Princess Sarah, sarcastically. In her attic, Sarah whispered to herself, "I must be brave like a princess, but it's hard." Meanwhile, Mr. Carrisford thought about helping Sarah and other poor children in the neighborhood. Ram Das had a plan to assist Sarah, and Mr. Carrisford agreed to it. One night, Ermengarde went to Sarah's attic room and found her looking pale and tired. Sarah explained that she and Becky had a tough day because Miss Minchin was angry with the cook, so they didn't get any dinner or tea. Ermengarde shared a big cake she got from home, and they had a small party together. However, Miss Minchin caught them and punished Sarah by withholding her meals the next day. Later that night, Sarah noticed a magical change in her attic room. There was a warm fire, new blankets, beautiful pictures, and delicious food waiting for them on the table. Sarah and Becky couldn't believe their eyes and enjoyed the feast, feeling grateful for the mysterious gifts. The magic continued every evening, with new items appearing in the attic, such as warm clothes, books, and more food. Sarah believed it was the work of a secret friend who didn't want to reveal their identity. Becky and Sarah cherished these gifts and felt thankful for their kind friend's generosity. One night, they noticed a monkey outside Sarah's window. Sarah let the monkey in and decided to take care of it until morning. The next morning, Mr. Carmichael returned from Russia, but he looked sad. Mr. Carrisford knew something was wrong. Mr. Carmichael explained that he found a girl named Emily Carew, but she wasn't Ralph Crew's daughter. They needed to start their search again. Mr. Carrisford suggested looking at schools in England, starting with the one next door. Just then, Ram Dass entered and mentioned the little servant girl from the attic, Sarah, who had the monkey. Mr. Carrisford wanted to meet her. Sarah came in, and Mr. Carrisford asked about the monkey. Sarah mentioned she was born in India, which surprised them. She shared her story of how she ended up as a servant at the school after her father, Ralph Crewe, died. When Sarah mentioned her father's name, Mr. Carrisford realized she was Ralph's daughter. Mr. Carmichael explained everything to Sarah, including the truth about her father's friend and the diamond mines. Sarah was surprised to learn she had been living next door all this time. Mr. Carrisford promised to take care of Sarah from now on. Sarah was happy and grateful, realizing that all the wonderful things in her attic were gifts from Mr. Carrisford and Ram Dass, not magic. Eventually, Sarah became very rich, and Miss Minchin wanted her back at the school. However, Mr. Carrisford refused and sent Miss Minchin away. Becky also came to live with them and became Sarah's servant, living happily. Ermengarde remained Sarah's friend, and Sarah shared her newfound wealth with her. Sarah wrote a letter to Ermengarde, revealing the truth about the diamond mines, making Ermengarde proud of her friend, the princess.